Are you a new freelancer interested in making money with Power BI and SQL jobs?
Yes.
Yes.
If so, then this is a video that you definitely want to watch all of. One of my Patreons, Brian, was kind enough to let me use our one-on-one meeting for this YouTube video. He's been learning business intelligence tools such as Power BI and also interested in SQL Server as well. He's taking the right approach by making sure that demand exists on Upwork for both technologies before pouring tons of time, effort, energy, and grind into enhancing his skills in those areas. In this video, I cover the demand for both business intelligence and SQL jobs on Upwork, as well as answer questions regarding the types of jobs available, what typical job duties include, and other high-paying Upwork skill set questions. Before we get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to Upwork for including me in a TV commercial that's been airing on tons of TV channels to help advertise their talent grants program that helps companies during COVID-19. This is a great program that gives $1 million to support businesses working to counter the impact of COVID-19. For more information on Upwork talent grants, click the link that's down in the description of this video. So Alex, go ahead and roll the TV commercial.
There's work to do.
To help save lives
and to rebuild the economy.
Work we can do from right here.
right here.
Upwork is giving $1 million in talent grants
to projects that help to counter the ongoing impacts of COVID-19.
Lending our expertise in tech,
creative,
and operations.
As the world's largest network
of independent professionals,
we're here to help.
Go to upwork.com/worktogether to learn more.
If you're new to my channel, we have the best freelance community on all of YouTube, helping freelancers all around the world to become successful, top-rated freelancers, have complete job flexibility, and make insane, life-changing money. So to help the channel, take a quick second and destroy the like button so this video will get promoted to more freelancers around the world. It truly means so much to me, and I greatly appreciate it. Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
Good, how you doing?
Doing pretty well. It's been a busy day, but overall, can't complain.
Yeah, you seem like a busy guy. You're making videos and on Upwork, and I guess you have a full-time job too, right?
Yeah, you have a full-time work from home job, and then freelance on the side, make YouTube content. So definitely takes a lot of time.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks for doing the call with me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So I guess based on your emails, sounds like you've got a lot of time right now that that you're willing to dedicate to freelancing and working on your skill set as well. Does that sound right?
Yeah, pretty much. I used to be in marketing, and I kind of took some time off to figure out what I want to do. And I was doing like construction in the meantime, just like doing like carpentry stuff.
Yeah,
which was cool. But that kind of all came to a halt recently. So
okay, where you located at?
I'm in Northeast Pennsylvania. I'm like not too far from like Philly and New York.
Cool.
Yeah, basically I'm just kind of like learning as much as I can. I just started taking like courses on LinkedIn, and I been getting more and more interested in like reporting in general. So that kind of led me to like the BI path. So I've been learning SQL, and I've also been like learning a lot of Excel and some Power BI. So
okay.
It's felt like a little like haphazard. I'm kind of just like, so I'm trying to condense it, I guess. But like really, I guess the reason I put the call with you is I'm trying to get a sense for like how much opportunity there actually is on Upwork,
right?
In terms of like making a full-time living or part-time, and like kind of like what people are looking for, I guess. So
okay.
I guess my first question would be like how much BI, I know you do, like you seem like you're more on the developer side of things, but like I know you do some BI work. Like how often, like weekly or monthly, or are you doing like Power BI jobs?
So yeah, you're right. My main area of focus is pretty much in SQL Server. So everything from, I probably do mainly database administration, performance type projects. So I would say probably somewhere around 60-70% is database administration, and then the rest falls into SQL Server development and then also BI work. The BI work that I typically do, most of it all pretty much falls within the Microsoft BI stack, whether it's SSIS, SSRS, and Power BI. Probably do the most right now with Power BI because a lot of companies are using it, just because it's pretty simplistic to use. It functions really well within the full Office 365 suite. It's easy to deploy out, to an organization across your whole enterprise. So Power BI is probably what I focus the most on. There's a ton of Power BI jobs on Upwork. Since I'm mainly focused in SQL Server, database administration, database development, there's a lot of Power BI jobs that I just don't do. But I do get invited to them a lot, and I've probably done 5 to 7 different Power BI jobs on Upwork. The company I used to work for, I was one of the main people that handled a lot of their BI environment and reporting. So that's where I started to get into Power BI a lot, was at my previous employer.
Gotcha.
And then, done some jobs on Upwork as well. But as far as the demand for, BI work on Upwork, there's a huge demand for it, whether you're doing, Power BI or you focus in Tableau. There's a ton of Tableau jobs. I've seen those, pretty much all the time. Also the integrated business intelligence stack for SSIS, SSRS, things like that.
Yeah, I've seen those SQL Server or SQL Server, the IS and the AS. Are they kind of beasts unto themselves? Are they really deep, or are they something you can learn kind of quickly?
There's definitely, it definitely takes time to learn them, but if you have the time to put into it, it definitely will help you out, especially if you're learning SQL as well, because if you do decide to do some BI work and business intelligence work on Upwork, some clients may also need help with their ETL packages and developing ETL to actually pull the data into a data warehouse or a data mart, or just some database that they can report out of. A lot of them want help with that area as well. If you learn SSIS, pretty much you could be comfortable with most of the common ETL packages that are out there, because they're all similar. You're doing the same things within them. SSIS is built into SQL Server.
Right.
I would definitely recommend learning it.
So is that in terms of the daily job, or is that coding in SQL and setting up workflows so that structures that will basically be used over and over again, or I don't really understand what you do with that.
So the structure would be the initial part of it whenever you're, and some companies may want you to develop that as well. It just depends on if they're solely looking for front end reporting development, or if they're also looking for someone that can, develop everything from scratch, so the back end as well as the front end. And
right.
If they're looking for someone to develop the back end as well, you'll need to know how to write the SQL queries and views or whatever they want to use, store procedures to pull the data. They may have someone in house that already writes everything that actually pulls the data out, and then they just want you to be able to create front end reports off of it. So
right.
It kind of depends. I see both sides of it. Some clients just want the front end work done, but then there's definitely a pretty high demand for clients that want someone that can develop the back end and the front end reports as well.
Gotcha. And do companies typically use one or the other? They'll use Power BI or SSIS or SSAS, or do they kind of use a mix of them?
They typically use one or the other. So SSIS it's built into SQL Server. So clients that are already using SQL Server for their database management system, typically, they're going to use SSIS as the ETL package, unless they decide to pay for, another third-party one that's, a little bit more expensive. There's a ton out there like Talent, there's a bunch, and they're just ETL tools that you can use to move data around within your environment. So SSIS is built into SQL Server. So if you learn SSIS and Power BI together, and again, if I didn't explain it well earlier, SSIS is the ETL package, so it runs on SQL Server. It's a feature that you just enable, and then what you can do, what you can utilize SSIS to do, you can create Visual Studio packages where you can use data flow objects, put in your sources, your destinations, and then do your transformations in between, and that basically allows you to take data from a source system, which would for instance be a transactional database for a company, like their financial information. You can pull data out of that data source or the financial information, and then move it to a reporting environment or reporting database, data warehouse, whatever it may be. And SSIS is what sits in between those two and allows you to pull data out from one, transform it, and then get it into the format that it needs to be to be reported on. So
Gotcha.
that's why it's good to learn SSIS.
Yeah.
And if you learn SSIS, you'll have a good overall understanding of just how ETL packages work in general. So it would be easy to learn another one, for instance.
Okay, gotcha. Cool.
And then just one more thing. So Power BI is what would sit on the front end. That's what you would actually develop, reports, dashboards, KPIs, all those things in. And then,
right.
Yeah. So if a company is heavy on Microsoft, they have like SQL Server as their database management system, odds are they're going to use Power BI or they're going to use SSRS, one of those things that are already really Microsoft friendly.
Gotcha.
But a lot of companies do use Tableau. Tableau is one of the most popular front-end BI tools.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too. I was thinking about learning that as well. So in terms of the Power BI jobs on Upwork, like how deeply do you need to know it? Like, are there certain like things that kind of come up often, or like certain like job requests that come up often, or like do they, is it kind of all over the place?
Definitely kind of all over the place. It ranges, and that it just comes down to looking through the job description. And then something I always do is in my job proposals, when I submit them, the very last like couple sentences, I basically ask the client to like jump on like a free 10-minute call with me. And that allows me to understand like if there's going to be other things involved. So like maybe they create a job and the job description says like, I need help creating a Power BI report. And then like, say I get on a call with them and I find out there's like a ton more that's actually involved.
Right.
Let you be able to filter out things that you may not be ready for initially.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it ranges from everything. Some people need complex reports developed, and then other people just want straight like flat reports developed. So it kind of ranges. I'm trying to see if I can find an example of a job that I've done that I could explain to you. Okay, let me share my screen. I'll show you one right now.
Sure.
This is something that probably would fall into something that you would do, like starting out. Let's see. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep. Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay. All right. So this one right here. So This was a client I had. I think I initially did some SQL Server work for them, but basically they didn't have really any reporting environment in place at all, like pretty much nothing. So for this one, I pretty much configured their entire environment. I helped them get Power BI set up. So everything from the initial part of it where we added licenses through their Power BI, through their Microsoft subscriptions.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll find this out when you start learning, Power BI and things like that. In order to connect Power BI within Office 365 to a SQL Server instance that's, in a client's environment, the way you do that is you have to set up the Power BI gateway, and the gateway just allows the where the service is sitting at with the Power BI reports, the front end ones that users can actually click on to look at things. That gateway allows a connection from the Power BI service where the reports are into the network on the physical server, so they can like refresh it and do things like that. And you can set up, and it allows you to set up automated refreshes, so you could have your data for like a report you developed refresh automatically like every day at like midnight or something like that.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's what I set up for them, and then I created like a few initial reports for them as well. And they were pretty, they had some requirements as far as like what data they needed in it, but I wasn't doing like any, complex like aggregates or anything like that within Power BI. Most of the reporting came straight from the SQL Server that I wrote for it to pull the data in. So
did you like wrote a lot of SQL on that then to like get stuff to Power BI?
Yeah, I wrote some SQL on the back end. I think I used a store procedure. I worked with but I did work with someone that was in house for them that really knew their data set and their whole environment. So they helped write the SQL for it because they knew what the stakeholders wanted to see on the front end for the report. So I worked with him and came up with the store procedure that basically is just SQL code that you can use to pull data out.
Gotcha. And like how intense is like the like SQL coding that you do? Because like I like just started. I started about a month ago, so I'm like pretty comfortable like just kind of querying and pulling stuff. but I'm still like probably a novice, you know.
I'll say it really depends. So if you're looking to, and you'll develop all that over time, but if you're looking to get started like sometime relatively soon, what you may want to do is kind of focus on the entry and intermediate level jobs in Upwork. And you can easily, I don't know if you know how to do that, but you can easily set filters.
Yeah.
I would do that initially because that'll prevent you from getting into something where they want like really complex SQL to be written to pull the data in.
Gotcha.
So it can get complex. It's hard to say it's hard to have a good answer for that because it depends on the client and what they need.
Right. Yeah.
So some clients may need something like, just basically flat reporting, and that's simple SQL to write. But while other ones may need, a lot of aggregates created and things like that to be able to calculate different things using different columns within their data set. And you either need to know how to write, the SQL to do that, or you need to know how to do that within Power BI. You could pull a straight data set, like, if you can work with a client to get their data set, like a pretty simple query to pull a bunch of data into Power BI. If you know Power BI really well, then you can create the aggregates, the calculations, and everything they need straight in Power BI.
Gotcha.
So you can.
Yeah. Seems pretty powerful.
And this was another one here. Just another Power BI project that I did. This was another one where it wasn't like heavy in Power BI calculations. So to create like a portfolio item for things like this, what I have to do is get permission from the client, and then I have to create like a fake data set and like just all fake data, because obviously they don't want to have their like company data showing up on a portfolio section of someone's profile. So that's something I'm gonna do in the future, and I wish I had that here now because I could give you an example of what it looked like.
Gotcha.
But both of these weren't too in depth and like really deep Power BI knowledge, or using aggregates and things like that.
Right.
They weren't too bad, and this ended up being a pretty long project. But the reports that I developed for them, it probably took like intermediate level skills of Power BI to do it.
Right. Okay. But overall, in terms of like Power BI jobs on Upwork, like you think it's pretty like lucrative, or like at least like plentiful in terms of like job load?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you start learning SQL Server as well. Like if you get pretty decent with querying and creating ETL packages and things like that. If you can incorporate that with Power BI knowledge or with Tableau knowledge, you can make a lot of money on Upwork. Those skills go very well together. If you can help out with the ETL part of it to pull the data in and transform it and get it ready for reporting, and then you can build out the reporting as well. You can you can get some really big projects doing that.
Okay. And just to be clear, like creating ETL packages, that's basically like you do it once, like kind of like set and forget type of thing. Like you set it up and then like it's kind of like automated from there.
You automate it, and really the only thing you need to do is just make sure like nothing's failing, and you can set up database mail alerts to where if an ETL package failed, it would send an email to a distribution list or a list of emails. Gotcha. And then the only other time you would need to touch it is when the client, for instance, had something they wanted to add to it, something they wanted to modify. Say they needed an additional column or set of columns added in. That would be the only time, is if something needed to be modified, updated, or you had an automated job failure, for instance.
Cool. And I guess that's most of the questions I have. I was kind of curious about DBA. I mean, I haven't really looked into that as much, but like I know that there's a ton of work for DBAs. But is that like a lot more code heavy? So
if you're getting into ETL development, that's going to be a little bit more code heavy. But database administration is just completely different, because it's really setting up environments, making sure they're all running, as best as possible and being optimized, and then troubleshooting issues. A lot of jobs that I do, database administration related, on Upwork especially, it's either going to be like a performance issue that's related to how their environment's set up, something that's configured wrong, or a lot of times it comes down to the activity on their server and how their application is behaving with different specific queries or different sessions. it's really knowing how to go into a server that a client says is performing bad, or they're having some type of issue, and then knowing how to figure out exactly what the issue is and how to fix it, how to optimize it and prevent it from happening again, and then also being able to set up new instances of SQL Server and optimize them in a way to prevent those type of issues from ever occurring. So it's mainly like performance related, and it's a completely different type of skill set, but it's definitely less on the actual development side because it's more administration related. You still have to know how to write SQL because you need to know how to pull out performance statistics and a bunch of other things like that. But like SQL development and like ETL development, that's definitely like way more coding, like using SQL.
Oh, interesting. I wouldn't have thought that.
Mm-hmm.
And as a DBA, like, so if you do that kind of work, you have to know like whatever database you work in, you kind of have to know that, like Oracle versus like right. Microsoft or whatever. Like you kind of have to know them all.
No, I would really, especially like for a beginner, like someone starting out, I would recommend to focus on one and start learning it. You can definitely learn like more than one like down the road, but initially starting out, where there's a lot of differences in how the instances are set up and administering them and everything like that. If you try to learn like Oracle and SQL Server at the same time, you're probably going to get pretty overwhelmed. I know that I would have for sure.
Okay, gotcha.
Whereas if you just focus on one, you can, give all your focus to it. It's going to be a lot easier to learn it.
Gotcha. Okay,
and
that makes sense.
There's a lot of jobs for both Oracle and SQL Server, so it comes down to like what you want to work with because there's a lot of jobs for both.
Right. And do you typically see like Microsoft most often, or is it kind of a mix?
Pretty much a mix, and then also like learning, like especially for now, like learning some of the cloud versions such as Azure SQL, and then AWS like AWS RDS for SQL Server is one, and you can run like any database management system on AWS or Azure. So definitely like if you want to look into a couple, I would look into Azure SQL and look into AWS RDS.
And you like, so like actually like over like Microsoft even like looking at those?
Look at them as well. So AWS RDS for SQL Server is SQL Server, but it is SQL Server, but it's SQL Server hosted in AWS as a cloud version of it.
Okay, gotcha.
So I would learn them just it's something you can learn as well with SQL Server, like the on-premise version, because a lot of companies have moved to using like cloud versions of it.
Right.
So they're good to learn together.
Gotcha. Cool.
And then then utilize. I would recommend like you said, you're using LinkedIn. LinkedIn Learning's good. Some other ones I would tell you to look at, like the course catalogs for, would be Pluralsight. Have you ever heard of that?
What was it again?
Pluralsight.
No. How do you spell that?
It's a plural, like PLURAL, and then site SIGHT. There's a ton of really great SQL Server courses, and pretty much anything you want, whether it be administration, development, or even Power BI. Like it has everything, and it has a lot of good content on it. I utilize Pluralsight pretty heavily when I first started learning SQL Server. And even the company I work for now, full time, like remote, we actually have a subscription to Pluralsight, and they can they'll give it to employees as a subscription, and so they can do learning. So,
cool. Yeah, I never heard of that one.
Yeah, that's another good one to look at, and especially for SQL Server, and if you're trying to get into back-end databases and Power BI, that's a really great one to look at.
Cool. Yeah, I love taking classes, man. I love learning.
Same. I do it all the time. I mean, like SQL Server and like especially learning like database management systems. No matter what anyone says, it's really like a lifetime skill.
Yeah.
Like I'll learn things all the time still that I didn't know, or I'd learn how to do things better. Like I may learn how to do something, and then even in a course or someone I'm working with, I may find something. I know how to do. Like, I may find a better way to do something. Is what I'm trying to say. Like, and I've definitely came across stuff like that on Pluralsight and, you know, other courses like that as well.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I know we went a little bit over, so I don't want to keep you too long.
They're good.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. It's really just kind of like wanted to talk to somebody who's like, I don't really know anybody else who does this, you know, so it's hard to talk to like a professional, but like, you know, you can obviously tell like I kind of know some stuff, but I, you know.
No, that's exactly where I was at. So I transitioned into like getting into database administration, development, stuff like that. I transitioned from, you know, like a straight support job, like just tech support job. So
oh, really?
It was the same thing for me. You know, I started the same situation and, you know, learned everything. So
yeah,
I know where you're at.
A lot of people have said like that's a good way actually in the company is to start at like the help desk and like learn as much as you can. Yeah,
especially if you find a company that has a lot of room for advancement and they really like try to help employees like move up within the company. That's something I would really focus on looking at if you actually look at, you know, specific companies. You know, even mention in your interviews, ask them about advancement in the company if they promote from within. If they promote from within, because because if they do, then you could get in a situation like I was in where I moved from a tech support job into an actual database administration job for my, you know, initial company I worked for.
Nice. Very cool.
All right.
Well, I appreciate all the advice. It's definitely super helpful. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, any other questions that come up, just take notes of them and we'll go through them.
Cool, man. And do you just share a link to the video for this or whatever?
Yeah, as soon as it's over, it'll export, and then I'll email it to you. It'll either be through like a Google Drive link if it's too big for the email, but I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you through email though.
Gotcha. Cool. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, keep up the content, man. I'm really enjoying it. So.
Oh yeah, I got a ton planned out.
Yeah, I'm sure. Cool, right, man. Well, good talking to you. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Take care.
I'll see you.
All right, see you. There's tons of business intelligence and SQL jobs on Upwork. One mistake that I see tons of freelancers make is checking for jobs on Upwork related to their skill set, not finding much available, then assuming that there isn't enough demand or jobs available for them. Upwork is the largest freelance platform in the world, and tons of new jobs are created on a daily basis. You have to be patient and consistent in your job search efforts. This means saving filtered Upwork searches and then checking them consistently when you need to add new work. The success and financial benefits from Upwork and freelancing depend on what you put into it. If you want to make a lot of money freelancing, then you have to put in the work and grind required to get there.
I mean, if other people are putting in 40-hour work weeks and you're putting in 100-hour work weeks, then even if you're doing the same thing, you know that you will achieve in 4 months what it takes them a year to achieve.
No one is going to hand it to you, and it won't be easy. However, the long-term benefits can be life-changing. I was personally someone struggling to pay bills and build my financial wealth. Freelancing has not only allowed me to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, but also to build the life that I've always wanted and to help people all around the world. Start today. Quit making excuses and quit telling yourself that you will start when you have more time. If you don't have the skills yet, then now is the time to start learning freelance skills. There's so many online learning platforms like Skillshare, which is linked in the description of this video. If you click on the link and sign up, then you get a free trial of their premium membership. Stop consuming videos without ever taking action. Use my content as a tool and implement it like tons of freelancers have. If you're just consuming my content without ever taking action, then I'm not helping you the way I want to. Starting today, work harder than you ever have, put in the time, put in the grind, and you already know what I'm gonna say. Let's get to work. On this end screen, I recommend checking out these videos, and be sure to hit that round subscribe button for weekly tech videos, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thank you for watching, and until next time.
Yeah, jungle and the juice, man. I can feel the heat, yeah. I can feel the heat, man. I can feel the heat.